is Wozniak's Conundrum, named after Steve Wozniak. This is the grafting of a 1991 Mac Classic computer onto an 1897 Remington Model 7 typewriter into a fully functional computer. And right now we have it on a standby program here. I'll go through the machine itself, but to make this work, to operate this, we can use the keys, and I'll show you how I achieve that. But the easiest way to really make this work is through the mouse. So my mouse is actually a Morse code telegraph key that I converted, and as you can see, there's your ball on the bottom. And this was quite an achievement to build this, to make this into a working mouse and utilizing the telegraph key. So right now we've got the screen up, and this is just a very familiar, even though it's a 20-year-old system, a graphics interface system that uses the icons to bring up. And Mac was one of the first ones to do that. So we have only so many things on here. We have we got a calculator on here, so we'll do that if we want to calculate. We have we got a clock on here, and we've got our keycaps on here, and we'll also do spreadsheets, things of that like. One of the things I like to do on this machine that is really easy, and I can just leave it alone, is the flight simulator. And it's sort of like an auto-run program, and I can just leave it on, and it'll just play for hours. And I believe we want to go to demos here. I believe. Just thinking about it. Okay, there it goes. And let's we don't want to go. We want to go. Where do we want to go? Where's my Manhattan? There it is, right there. Come on up. Okay. This takes a little bit to come up, but it will come up. All right, here it comes. And so we'll take a demo tour. It's called the Manhattan Tour. What's neat about this particular demo is, there's the wrong one, that's the San Francisco. Now we'll just leave it on that. The Manhattan Tour actually has a plane fly between the World Trade Centers, but we'll leave this on the San Francisco tour. Getting back to this piece, so we have our mouse, our keyboard. We have a 56K, a 56K dial-up modem for online operations. So you set that. Charge off the system, dial out the number, and there's some meters and gauges here to make any adjustments you might need. It goes into a telephone jack here, old style jack. However, we don't have a phone line hooked up to the to this piece right now, so we can't go online. So this is just made out of a bunch of old telephone parts. There's a modem card inside there to make this all work. Getting back to the computer here, I had to build this copper tubing interface is what I call it. And what that does is it holds the boards for the computer. So this board right here is actually the CPU motherboard from the Mac Classic computer. Back here is the video board and power board. Above it is the disk drive, floppy drive, and in front of that is the hard drive. And basically this interface holds those boards together, and then that copper tubing interface is attached to the typewriter to keep everything in place. A couple novel features about this: we do have a couple of old style vacuum tubes, and they're illuminated with 12-volt LED amber lights to give the illusion that they're powered up. If these are really powered up, the correct way, they would not be as bright. They'd run really hot because they take a lot of voltage, and they're hot. So using the 12-volt LED lights, they're cool, they don't take a lot of power, and they're brighter. We have a little, I guess you could call it a wireless, you know, so to get away from the modem, but it really doesn't do anything, it just looks cool. This little sphere here is what I call my DOR, D-O-R, the data overflow reservoir. So you get too much data, it just flows in there, and then we just dump it out later. Of course, we have I believe it's a 7-inch cathode ray tube on these here. And again, pretty safe. This is the high voltage suction. You know, one place you don't want to touch is right back in here. I do have it covered up, or if you stuck your finger in there, that'd be a little bit dangerous. But pretty much the overall outside of this is pretty safe. One thing I do experience with this machine, and I do come out once in a while, I got these damn bugs that come in. And this system is a little buggy, and they keep coming out of here, and so I have to deal with them. We have a pneumatic pump that can pressurize the system, and on the front of the unit has a gauge that shows the pressure. We have also a steam engine on the side. Now, I don't use this anymore. What this steam engine did is, there's a ribbon. I can smell the brandy from this machine right here when we what's in the reservoir. Excuse me. The ribbon is this 1.5-inch ribbon. Most typewriters are only they're like about a 1/2 inch. This was an 1.5-inch ribbon. And what that steam engine did, it would move the ribbon back and forth through a pulley and a V-belt. And in between the typewriter and the steam engine is a fan to keep it cool. Below the steam engine is a 300-watt heating element. The only problem with this was when it was running, it was too hot. No matter if the fan's going on, it was just way too hot. It was steamy, it was messy, and just downright dangerous. So I've decided just to leave it on without running it because of the safety factor involved. If you come around, I can show you how I achieved the key interfacing the keys, the mechanical keys, to the computer. And what I had to do, if I can lift this up here, on the bottom you can see a bracket that holds 45 micro switches. So when you press down on the key, it makes contact with the switch, and then behind that bracket is the keyboard circuit board from the original keyboard. And that circuit board was about this long, and I had to cut it. My original thought was to cut it in half, that circuit board, and re-splice it together so I could fit it underneath. The only problem with that was I had to cut 34 connections, very small connections, and then resolder them. That'd be 70, 34, that'd be 68 reconnections, leaving room for error. Well, I did it the first time, and guess what? You know, I screwed up. So analyzing that circuit board, I found, and it worked out just perfect actually, I could cut off 1/4 of it, and I'd only cut 8 connections, and then only have to resolder only 16. And I was successful with that, and so the other 1/4 part of that circuit board is mounted here where the mouse connects. So you really can't see, but the other 1/4 part of that circuit board is there. And so that's all wired up to the computer so you can use the keys. Now, there's other problems associated. The main one is there's only 43 keys on this Remington typewriter. I believe that Mac keyboard had 50 plus 60 keys. So I was really limited to what I could utilize for controls. But one way I did get around that is on the typewriter itself there are some mechanical controls, such as this that rings the bell. Well, if you look closely, I've installed a micro switch back here. So this has become, and if you're familiar with an Apple computer, and the micro switch is right there, and I'll show you others, That's the Apple key, if you're familiar with the Mac. And then here, I believe this is Option, and that controls a micro switch right there. So when I press that down, and I forgot what I did on the typewriter, so there's my Option control, and then I have another mechanical lever that pushes another micro switch. I believe that's Command. And then we have another one here that actually would move the ribbon, and it bumps into a micro switch back here, and that's oh gosh, another function key. Control, Option, Command. It escapes me right now. Escape, that's what it is. Excuse me, that's the escape key. And another one on the typewriter was this on the typewriter. This was the mechanical caps. Well, what I did is I put a micro switch on here, so this becomes the mechanical caps for the computer. And the last one I did was on this computer, and this is a strange typewriter. This particular typewriter is called an underwriter, meaning it, instead of it typing out in front, and you can see the keys and you can see what you're typing, this particular typewriter types underneath. And you can't see what you're typing, and that's where they came up with the name blind typewriters. And to see what you're typing, and the carriage is all locked down to hold this, but you would have to pick up this lever here, and then you can see what you're typing. But if you pushed it, it was a return for the typewriter. So what I did is I hooked a micro switch onto here, and this becomes return for the computer. So I was able to gain 6 of the controls. Now another thing on the keyboard, there was no adds, there was no delete. So what I had to do is I had to remake 10 of these stickers, I guess you want to call them, or labels. And I had to remake the 2 because we needed at. I had to remake the 0 because of the parenthesis here. I had to, the delete was actually the pound symbol, the English pound symbol. I wasn't going to use that, so I made that into the delete. And there's a few others. I believe there's plus and equals. I had to make that up, and a few others. I believe there's 10 of them that I had to remake, and I came pretty close to the original color of the labels here. And so the only thing that's really sort of missing from this, and it was a tough choice, you know, what can I have on here, what I can't. I believe there's no tab, but we can get around that. So so that's how this pretty much all works. It took me 3 months to build. Originally, when I thought about building this, it was going to be a static system, meaning it wouldn't do anything. And when I got into it in the first month, I found it feasible that I could make this into a working computer. But that's when all the problems started. And it took another 2 months to finally get it to where we're at right now. So I'd like to thank you for checking out these wonderful contraptions. There's more coming out. I have my next piece I have is Oppenheimer's Enigma, and that's a wonderful piece. And homage to Dr. Julius Robert Oppenheimer, the inventor of the atomic bomb. And Land's Metamorphosis. It's a piece made out of an SX70 camera. Because that was my old art form, was manipulating SX70 photographs, so I took a camera and steampunked it out. And it's like my transition piece from my old art form to my new art form. So I'd like to thank you for checking these out, and look forward and hope you check more in the future. And I will have a website online, www.steamworksresearchlabs.com. It should be out pretty soon. Also, this piece, Wozniak's Conundrum, is on its way to Massachusetts here in a couple weeks for a competition out there. And I'm really happy the way this all turned out. So again, thank you.
Thank you, Steve.